In a very dense and beautiful pine forest, different groups of animals used to live. In this same forest lived two squirrel brothers named Tipu and Chipu. These two were so active and mischievous that from morning till evening, they would jump from one tree to another, shake birds' nests, and keep annoying other animals. All the small and big animals of the forest had become fed up with their ridiculous activities. In the outskirts of this same forest, where there was a large lake, lived an old and big pelican, a bird with a long beak named Hugo. Hugo was not like ordinary birds. Underneath his beak was a very large leathery pouch, in which he collected fish and water, and his feathers were very heavy and spread out. One day, Tipu and Chipu were picking walnuts by the lakeside, when their eyes fell upon Hugo, who was quietly sunbathing by the lakeside. "Hey, Chipu, just look at this strange bird," Tipu said while laughing. "What kind of big and ugly bag is hanging under his mouth? It looks like some old sack is hanging." Both mischievous brothers went close to Hugo and started making fun of him by clapping loudly. Chipu picked up a small pebble and hit it right on Hugo's big beak pouch. Hugo felt pain from being hit by the pebble, but instead of getting angry, he said in a very slow and kind voice, "Children, nature has made everyone for some purpose or the other. This pouch of mine is my strength. Will you make friends with me?" Tipu and Chipu burst into laughter. "Friendship with you? Look at our speed and look at this heavy body of yours. You are so ugly that we do not want to waste our time by playing with you." Saying this, they threw dry leaves on Hugo and ran away from there. Hugo took a cold sigh and closed his eyes. A few days passed. Tipu and Chipu thought that they had become bored by staying in the same place every day. Why not head towards the Conical Valley, which is across the forest, where rare and sweet pine fruits are found? Their parents had always forbidden them from going towards that valley alone because the weather there changes in a moment. But where was it easy to stop disobedient and mischievous children? Both brothers slipped away quietly early in the morning, when the whole forest was sleeping. The journey was very pleasant, both of them performing somersaults on trees and eating sweet fruits. Reached right into the middle of the Conical Valley by afternoon. There were really very big and delicious fruits there, eating which they became ecstatic. But while they were still lost in their fun, suddenly deep black clouds covered the sky. In no time, such sharp and hot gusts of wind started blowing that trees began to shake from their roots. This was the forest's worst dust and firestorm, which occasionally took this area into its grip. The storm was so intense that the blowing dust and smoke blinded the eyes of both squirrels. They tried to come down from the tree, but the fierce gusts of wind slammed them onto the ground. Their condition was getting miserable. Because of the hot sand and smoke, they started suffocating, and out of thirst, their tongues came out. The lake was very far from there, and reaching there by flying or running in this storm was impossible. Both brothers hugged each other and started crying and regretting their disobedience. "I wish we had listened to Mom and Dad. Today we will die of thirst in this storm," Chipu said while sobbing. At that very moment, when their breaths were breaking, a big shadow descended near them, cutting through the fierce gusts of wind. This was none other than the same bird, Hugo. Hugo had sensed the arrival of the storm, and he had seen both of them coming towards this side from afar. "Children, do not lose courage. Quickly sit inside this pouch under my beak," Hugo shouted in the noise of the storm. Tipu and Chipu looked at each other. There were tears of embarrassment in their eyes. The pouch, which they were calling an ugly bag until yesterday, was their only shelter for life today. Without wasting any time, they both crawled inside the soft and safe pouch built under Hugo's big beak. Hugo closed his beak slightly so that the outside hot sand and smoke could not go inside. It was certainly dark inside, but surprisingly, there was absolute coolness there because Hugo, while leaving the lake, had collected a lot of fresh and cold water in this pouch. Tipu and Chipu drank water to their heart's content, which brought life back into them. Outside, the storm kept blowing, trees kept falling, but Hugo, keeping his strong wings firmly on the ground and hiding those two in his pouch, sat quietly. A few hours later, when the storm stopped and the sun came out again, Hugo opened his beak. Tipu and Chipu came out. The view outside had changed. Many trees were broken, but those two were completely safe and refreshed. Hugo smiled and looked at them and said, "You both are all right, right?" Tipu and Chipu were sinking into the ground out of shame. They bowed their necks and crying, touched Hugo's feet. "Hugo, big brother, please forgive us. We made fun of your beak and pouch, but today the water of this very pouch quenched our thirst, and this very pouch saved us from the storm. If you were not there, we would have died." Hugo affectionately spread his wings over their heads and said, "My little brothers, nature has not made anyone purposeless or ugly. What you are considering my flaw is actually my greatest virtue, because of which I am able to help others. Do not ask for forgiveness. Just promise that in the future you will not make fun of anyone by looking at their outward appearance." Both squirrels held their ears and promised with a true heart that now they will never bother anyone, nor make fun of anyone. After that day, Tipu and Chipu became the best and most well-mannered children of the forest and old. Hugo became their best friend, sitting on whose back they used to tour the lake every day.